Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the best of the weekend's action. Joining me as ever, it's Pato. Welcome aboard. How are you, Pat, this morning?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Should we just fast straight in because we've got a big match to kick off with? Juventus at the suggestion of Joe D. Shepherd. Why is that, Pat?
They regained top spot in Serie A with a 2-0 win over title rivals Inter Milan at the Allianz Stadium. Now, I kind of was wondering whether they'd be a little bit irritated before it, because obviously they had to play at the San Siro in a normal game, but this was behind closed doors. But Inter, kind of having an advantage of not having to face the home support, failed to capitalise on that. The first half, pretty dour, exactly what you'd expect from a Serie A title-deciding game. De Ligt and Brozovic went closest, which shows you how little the strikers were involved in the game. But the deadlock was broken 10 minutes after the interval. Aaron Ramsey firing in from close range after a kind of a pullback, kind of a sloppy touch from Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not really sure.
Takes a bit of a deflection as well as effort.
Yeah, it goes through the Friar's legs, I think, and there wasn't a lot to be done about it. Just Ramsey's third goal in Serie A. But a couple of minutes later was when he truly showed his quality, linking up with substitute Paulo Dybala, who came off for Douglas Costa, for an absolutely sensational goal.
So
Dybala picks it up on the wing, cuts inside, beats a couple of guys, gives it to Ramsey, who feeds it back. Dybala then weaves through a couple of defenders, and knowing he can't afford the time to use any backlift, he can't get any space, he just toe pokes it with his left foot into the corner.
Sort of as he falls over, it's so nice.
Absolutely amazing goal. Anyway, Ramsey became the first Juve player to assist and score against Inter since Fabio Quagliarella in 2013. Quite a streak to break for the club there. And Dybala is the first Juve player to score home and away against Inter since Arturo Vidal in 2013-14. Now, 10 minutes from time, matters got worse for the Nerazzurri. Reserve keeper Daniele Padelli was sent off from the bench for dissent following a yellow for Brozovic. Sarri's side managed to see out the win with their classic one-touch passing, now have 5 consecutive clean sheets against Inter at home. The first time since 1999. That is bananas.
That's pretty worrying, and it feels like at least Inter's title hopes, faint as they were, are pretty much done. The hosts, good value for their win, 54% of the ball and 17 shots, hitting the target with 5 of them. The visitors took 13 shots, but only found the target once. XG reflected this, having it at 1.2 to 0.4 in Juve's favour. So as Pat said, not a thriller, but Juve deserved to win for sure. Ramsey was man of the match with his goal and assist, as well as 74 touches, a 90% pass accuracy and 3 key passes. And he's now scored in back-to-back Serie A games, having also found the net against Spal. And this came just under 2 years since he scored against Conte's Chelsea in the FA Cup final. So Ramsey once again proving himself to be a massive big game player and really finding his feet in Turin after a sort of difficult opening few months of the season for him. Ronaldo was unlucky not to score, taking 9 shots but hitting just 1 on target. He also created 3 chances and took 7 touches in the opposition's box. He looked absolutely gutted that his scoring run came to an end at the end of this game, showing that he's still quite individualistic at times. So Juventus strolled to a win. Ronaldo was gutted.
I was surprised to see him celebrate Ramsey's goal.
Yeah.
Because Ronaldo gets it and he looks like he's trying to make the space, but he kind of, the touch goes a little bit too far and Ramsey's there to just bang it in. And then Ronaldo, everyone celebrates and then there's a split second delay and then Ronaldo's like, hey.
You can see us thinking of oh, I wish it was me. But just not to be
His
Ronaldo.
His hair's so bad.
I know,
His hair's so bad.
I am not one to talk, but a man done at 35 or whatever he is, it's not good at all. Get rid Cristiano. You know, do a doogie, get it all off. Juve's defence was solid though. Bonucci made 6 tackles and interceptions, a game high, while De Ligt had a 98% pass accuracy, misplacing just 1 pass, and made a bit of a nuisance in the first half on a few corners as well. As for Inter, Lukaku had a very quiet evening, worryingly so, not managing a single shot and completing just 4 passes if you exclude kickoffs, before he was taken off in the 77th minute. Ooh. Ashley Young also didn't have his best game, getting dribbled past 3 times and failing to complete a tackle or create a chance. And it was Ashley Young that got sold by that Dybala move in the build-up to his second goal. Inter are now 9 points off top spot and will need to bounce back against the Sassuolo next weekend, although they do have a game in hand. But as I said before, it feels like it's pretty much done. Juventus face Bologna on Friday and can move 4 points clear at the top of the table. And it seems like, Pat, we've talked about for a while that This is Juventus's now. Lazio, maybe that lack of depth is going to come back to bite them. And Juve, 2 really good performances against Inter Milan this season in the league.
They've really pulled it out when they need to. But, you know, Inter, even if they win that game in hand, will still be 5 points behind Lazio. But Lazio only a point behind Juve. If Lazio can beat them when they play each other, because that game is still to come, as I recall.
They've already beaten them once, I think,
then I don't know, like then it kind of feels like it's on. Like that would be quite exciting. So now everybody's hopes are with Lazio, but yeah, it looks like it will be a season of disappointment for Inter.
For sure. I mean, Lazio have performed well in big games this season too, like Juventus, so we'll see how that goes. But guys, who do you think is going to win Serie A? Lazio, Juventus, or maybe Inter? Why don't we throw it to a poll? I think we know who's going to win it though.
Moving on to our first loser of the week, but we stay in Italy. It's at Chrissy Welsh 7's suggestion of AC Milan. What happened to them?
Well, before we get into that, just a quick reminder to subscribe to ERU and hit that notification bell.
You're wagging your fingers so much.
Sign up, subscribe. Anyway, AC Milan lost 2-1 at home to Genoa, whose victory sees them climb out of the relegation zone on goal difference. So, first half goals from former Inter Milan forward Goran Pandev, and Francesco Cassetta meant Ibrahimovic's late effort was nothing more than a consolation and condemned the Rossoneri to their first home defeat since early November, which is pretty impressive. They were actually 11th at Christmas, but a run of 1 defeat in 8 games going into this had lifted Milan into Europa League contention, but this defeat sees them remain 7th, 12 points off 4th place Atalanta. And despite their recent upturn, they're still 12 points and 4 places off where they were at this stage in 18-19, when they lost just 4 of their opening 26 league games. This season, they've already lost 10 games. I think they've won as many as they've lost, which is still pretty depressing there. And it was a deserved defeat too. They had 62% possession and created 23 opportunities, but only got 4 on target. Very wasteful. Ibra in particular missed a gilt-edged chance as well, whereas Genoa got 3 of their 11 efforts on target. XG had it at 1.9 apiece. Ibrahimovic, who hadn't scored in 3 going into this, missed that wonderful chance, as I said, and only got 2 of his 8 shots in target throughout the game. But Genoa, Pat, maybe if we'd looked into a bit more of their stats, maybe we shouldn't have been too surprised because they have been in a reasonable bit of form. Yeah,
I mean, for relegation strugglers,
exactly.
Like they have only lost once in their last 5 games, which was against Lazio, and in that time they've gone from 20th to 17th. So it looks like they might just be able to scrape up out of the relegation zone. I mean, they've conceded a lot of goals, 47 in 26. Only Lecce have conceded more. But on the other end, they've scored 31, which doesn't sound incredible, but for a relegation threat side, that's actually pretty good. It's 13th in the table, 3 more goals than Milan have scored. So they can put together an attack. They've got Pandev on 7 goals, they've got Crescito on 7 goals, and Christian Kouame had 7 in 11 before he did his cruciate back in November, and that has really hurt them down the stretch because he was amazing last year as well when he was pairing up with Piontek, and it's really disappointing.
He's been linked with a move for a while, actually, Kouame.
Yeah, because he's still very, very young, and he's a good dribbler as well. He's fantastic in the air. He offers so much to this side, and now they're having to do it on a kind of footballing shoestring, you know, with these guys who are...
Yeah, Pandev's still pulling it out.
How old is Pandev now? He must be 100. Anyway, key performers in this game. Ismail Benacer, probably Milan's best player, completed a game-high 4 tackles. 1 aerial duel won, which given his size is pretty good. 2 dribbles, 1 key pass, and had 3 shots, as well as completing 90% of his passes. Man of the match, probably Tony Sanabria, playing up front alongside Pandev, won 4 aerial duels, completed 2 dribbles, created 3 chances, took 3 shots, and got an assist. He's currently on loan. He's Paraguayan, I think. And he's currently on loan from Real Betis, has 3 goals and 2 assists to his name in under 1,000 minutes. I think he was formerly at Roma as well. But good to see him perhaps find a home if they can stay up. However, for Milan, they kind of need to beat Lecce next week because after that, they have an absolutely appalling run. They go Roma, Lazio, Juve, and Napoli in back-to-back games. I do not foresee a strong end to the season for Milan. Whereas Genoa, I don't know, good luck. I'd quite like to see you stay up. Why not?
Our second and final winner is Jadon Sancho at the suggestion of @DanM48. Pat, he's back in our winners.
Yeah, he gets a goal involvement every week, doesn't he? And this time it was an assist for Achraf Hakimi in Dortmund's 2-1 victory over Borussia Mönchengladbach. It was actually his 15th league assist of the season. That equals Henrik Mkhitaryan's club record set back in 2014-15. And with 9 games to go, he has Kevin De Bruyne's league record of 20 in his sights. Although Thomas Muller, who's actually an assist ahead of him on 16, will be competing for that record. The 19-year-old has now contributed to a goal in every game he's played in since the 5th of November, bar 3. That is absolutely outrageous. 21 games ago. So in 18 of those games, he's either got on the score sheet or assisted somebody else.
He's a phenomenon.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And Leipzig's 0-0 draw with Wolfsburg, coupled with this result, means that Dortmund go second for the first time since the end of October, though they remain 4 points off Bayern Munich. The stats pretty even in this game. It was really just superior finishing that gave Dortmund the victory. Both sides had 10 shots. Gladbach had 3 on target. Dortmund had 4 on target. XG put it at 2.6 for Gladbach and 1.3 for Dortmund.
Quite unfortunate though.
Could have been a very, very different story. Stindl, Thuram, Thuram came on for 20 minutes, created an absolutely enormous. I mean, it was just the attack.
Very open.
Yeah, the attack is still working for Gladbach, but I guess where they were getting a bit lucky on the finishing end in the first half of the season, they're now getting unlucky. I don't know, maybe it all washes out. I think over the course
when
of the year.
they both sides play such a high line as well, you're always going to concede like 1 or 2 quite clear-cut chances, I think.
Yeah, but these are 2 fun attacking sides. Anyway, really important win for Dortmund because they are going into a busy period now. They've got PSG on Wednesday. Obviously, we'll hope they can go through there. Then they've got rivals Schalke, then Wolfsburg and Bayern. So that is a horrendous run. If they come out of that with some credit, then I don't know. I don't really think they've got a shot at the title, but certainly second is there.
Yeah, I just want the race to continue and Leipzig to come back into it. We're actually covering Leipzig in just a second, so hold on for that. But ultimately, this was a disappointing result for Marco Rose. But they did well to recover from conceding an 8th-minute goal to Torgan Hazard, his 5th league goal of the season, after Stindl gave away the ball in midfield kind of needlessly. And the 31-year-old forward started on the left of a player, Hoffmann and Stindl front 3, atoned for his error by grabbing his 5th goal in 4 games. But Gladbach, they're out of the Pokal, they're out of the Europa League. Rose will be desperate for their first loss in 6 games, so they've won 3 and drawn 2 of those, to not derail them as they drop out of the top 4 for the first time since September, replaced by Bayer Leverkusen. And the key performers in this game, left wing-back Rami Bensebaini was unlucky to be on the losing side as he made 7 tackles and interceptions, won 2 aerial duels, took 3 shots and laid on a chance 2. For Dortmund, Mats Hummels was actually excellent. He's come in for a bit of criticism, not least from me this season, but fair play to him on this occasion. 6 tackles and interceptions, 6 aerial duels, 92% pass accuracy and had a shot 2. Man of the match, though, was without doubt Torgan Hazard, despite Sancho getting that assist. 5 tackles, 2 aerial duels, 4 dribbles, 2 key passes, 2 shots, 1 goal, just doing a bit of everything in the forward line there. The 26-year-old signed from Gladbach this summer for €25.5 million. Now has 5 goals and 10 assists to his name in 24 league games this term. So a really promising debut campaign for him. And yeah, along with Dortmund's other signings have all sort of gone pretty well as well. Brandt, probably the most disappointing one's probably been Nico Schulz, I would say. Probably hasn't quite got to his Hoffenheim levels. But Dortmund fans, we want to hear from you. Do you guys have an outside chance at the title? And how do you think that game is going to go against PSG this week? Let us know in the comments down below. And let's move on to our final loser.
So our second and final losers of the week are RB Leipzig. This comes from @WPB_2020. If you're wondering why Real Madrid haven't made the cut, we do try and mix up the teams from week to week. We don't just want to present the same thing again and again. But commiserations to them on losing 2-1 to Real Betis. That's pretty funny. Leipzig, why are they here, Dukes?
Yeah, well, they've dropped further away from the top in the Bundesliga title race after drawing 0-0 away to Wolfsburg, just 2 games after drawing 1-1 at home to Bayer Leverkusen. Patrick Schick and Marcel Sabitzer came closest to scoring for the East German side, who started with star striker Timo Werner on the bench. And his introduction on the hour mark did little to help the cause, as he failed to register a single shot in his time on the pitch. His Bundesliga form has actually been a bit iffy recently, or at least his goal scoring has slightly gone off in the league at least. And all in all, it was a sluggish performance by the Red Bulls, who by 15 minutes had faced 6 shots with none in reply. And Bayern overcome Augsburg 2-0, and Borussia Dortmund obviously beat former league leaders Borussia Mönchengladbach, as we said. So it was a tough week for the Red Bulls, who dropped to 3rd in the table. And considering Leipzig's last visit to the Volkswagen Arena resulted in a 6-1 victory just 4 months ago in the Pokal, much more was expected from the fading title contenders. Yeah, it's a little bit worrying for Leipzig going into a big week with Spurs in the Champions League, though their form has slightly dropped off, Pat.
Yeah, but also they did rest Werner. You know, Werner's going to start that game, right? Like, I suppose it is a bit worrying, but at the same time, Wolfsburg's success this season has 100% been defensive.
Yeah.
Like they have been
best according to expected goals against.
Yeah, they've been amazing in defence. And so Leipzig had the majority of the possession. They had 62%. They completed 615 passes to Wolfsburg's 379. But Wolfsburg kind of don't mind that. They're just going to try and restrict you as much as possible. Both sides ended up finishing the game with 4 shots on target. The Wolves had 16 attempts in total. Leipzig had 14, but obviously shot quality not spectacular. And Nkunku, probably the only real player who did much of anything for Leipzig, won 3 tackles and 3 aerial duels and also had 3 shots. No midfielder touched the ball more than him. So at least he was getting on the ball a lot, but they just didn't have that cutting edge. Yusuf Poulsen, particularly disappointing. Touched the ball just 19 times. Didn't complete any dribbles, didn't complete any tackles before coming off of Werner. So not giving much in attack, not giving much out of possession either. Wolfsburg now sit in 7th on 36 points. That's just 1 behind Schalke. They've gone 6 Bundesliga games unbeaten. And they've got a Europa League tie with Shakhtar Donetsk to come. Ooh. So it could actually be a strong end to the season for the Wolves. And while Leipzig still look favourites to overcome Tottenham in the Champions League, they may struggle to rein in that 5-point gap now between them and Bayern Munich. But still all to play for Julian Nagelsmann's men. Where do you think they'll finish? Let us know in the comments below.
It's time for start of the week now, and rounding off what's been a sort of German-orientated ERU, we've got Paulinho at the suggestion of Jack, series of numbers on Twitter. Why is that, Patrice?
Well, this is not the Paulinho that you know. This is the 19-year-old attacking midfielder who plays for Bayer Leverkusen. He made his first Bundesliga start at the weekend and scored twice and grabbed an assist in his club's 4-0 victory over Eintracht Frankfurt on Saturday. He joined them from Vasco da Gama back in April 2018, but he'd only ever made 20 Bundesliga appearances prior to this weekend, all as a substitute. However, it will be difficult for Peter Bosz to drop him back to the bench after this outing. 88% pass accuracy, 3 dribbles, 2 key passes, 5 shots, 2 goals and 1 assist. That is sensational. And Leverkusen's attack right now is absolutely flying.
Yeah, they're doing so well. And Paulinho's 2 finishes in this game were almost identical. They were really nice to see. And this result continues Die Werkself's incredible form. They have won 11 of their last 13 games in all competitions, scoring 33 goals in the process. Wow. That also included a 5-2 aggregate win over Porto in the round of 32 in the Europa League. And they play Rangers this Thursday in the last 16. Ooh. With Rangers' kind of dodgy league form, this is not the time to play Bayer Leverkusen. They're now up to 4th in the table, 1 point ahead of Gladbach. In contrast, Eintracht are now without a league win since the 7th of February, and they've shipped 4 goals for the 4th time this season, all in big games. I think they've also done it to Dortmund. I think it was to Leipzig as well. But it's difficult when you come up against a player in this sort of form, though. Paulinho may have only played 164 league minutes this term, but he's actually operating at 1.43 expected goals and assists per 90. So limited minutes, if you could, it's only a start, but what a start it's been to Paulinho for life in the Bundesliga, and definitely one to watch moving forward. Guys, thank you very much. That's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. Let us know what you guys thought of our thoughts in the comment section down below. And Pat, what should they go do now even?
Well, if you want to see a Premier League spin on this kind of show, then head over to Football Daily and watch Winners and Losers. Obviously, as well, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. It goes live every Thursday. Use whichever app you want. Extra Time will drop a new episode for you.
Lovely. Like and subscribe, guys. Bye. Oh, I am showing it. Sorry.